Hey guys, it's Elena. So today I wanted to share with you an art prompt, and it's all about handwriting. So handwriting is something that I come back to a lot in my digital mixed media and collage artwork. There's just something really expressive and alive about handwritten marks that I just really like how it looks, even when you can't read what's written. So one way to use handwriting is to use vintage ephemera like stamps and little bits and pieces. But another take on it is something that is usually called Asemic writing. And basically it means writing with no meaning. So it looks like handwriting, but it has no semantic meaning to it. It's open to interpretation. And my take on this is hidden journaling. It does actually have meaning and I'm writing something, but I am deliberately obscuring it in such a messy way that no one else can actually read it. So this is the idea that I wanted to explore with today's art prompt. In a minute, I will show you my own process to make some artwork with a lot of hidden handwriting in it. I've written so messy that I don't think you'll be able to read it, but I guess we'll see. Maybe you will. So let's go ahead and get started. So I've got my art journaling gallery open in Procreate here, and this is just some different things that I've worked on over the years. I have a journal that I showed how to make in a previous video, so I'll put a link for that down below. But it's just kind of a situation where I've done a lot of, crazy scribbles, and it's just art journaling. And why I'm showing you this is because you can use something like this and you can use the hidden handwriting concept on anything that you've already done like this, or you can start from scratch. So for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to start from scratch and make a new composition. So I'm just going to make a new canvas by hitting the plus, and I tend to use 3000 by 2000 pixels at 300 dpi as my sort of standard art journaling canvas, just because I like to use a landscape canvas. But I'm just going to keep it simple and use my mixed media brush set, which I will link to in the description, and I'm going to add some paper bits and some plants from a different brush set, and maybe do some painting and splatters to bring it all together, and then I'm just going to do the handwriting on top of that. So I'm going to start out with the notebook paper brush here, and it says variable size because the size of the note paper itself changes with the slider over here. I'm using my Mixed Media Rainbow color palette, which some of you may already have. If you already have the Mixed Media brush set, it comes with that. You can also download it for free, and the description has a link for that as well. So I'm just going to go with this really light colored brush in my notebook paper, and I wanted to kind of cover this corner down here. So this is a torn paper edge, so you can see it kind of looks like I ripped that off there, and that's just kind of a background. So let's rename that. Let's make a new layer, and a brush that I wanted to use kind of like stacked on top of that is one of the other paper brushes that I have here, and you could really use any of these, but I'm going to go ahead and go with craft paper number 2. So this is just kind of like your standard brown paper. I'm going to choose a brownish color for that, and maybe I want it a bit lighter, so I'm going to my value tab and just making it a bit lighter like that, and I'm just going to layer it on top of this. And this one also has a torn paper edge. So I kind of want to make it overlapping without being exactly on top. So now we've kind of got that peeking through. The lines are also kind of peeking through, but from underneath as well. So I'm renaming that one, and I'll add a new layer. And in this new layer, I wanted to add some ferns. The Mixed Media brush set comes with ephemera stamps. This is kind of a bonus that comes with it. And there are some ferns in here and other sort of nature elements. These are all based on vintage illustrations. That is an option. I kind of wanted to go a bit more realistic rather than illustrations. So I wanted to go to my greenery brush set. This is a different brush set, and it's based on plants that I gathered across England. This is the area I live in, and so I just gathered a lot of plants, I pressed them, and I turned them into brushes, and that's what this brush set is. But we've got some ferns in the Build a Fern section here. So I wanted to just add some of these as if I had pressed them and put them in a notebook for my art journaling. So I'm gonna go with a couple different ones of these. I'm gonna choose this green to start with, but I might just vary the green a little bit as I go. So I just kind of wanted to have the ferns coming out in this corner. I'm just kind of happy with that. So I'm gonna make a new layer. I'm gonna put each of these in their own layer just so I can move them later if I want to without moving everything. So I've made a new layer and I'm going back to my color and I'm on the value tab. I'm just gonna adjust this a little bit. So I made it lighter and a little bit less saturated. And I will choose a different one, maybe number 7. And actually I'm kind of thinking I want that one darker. So I'm going back to my value tab, making it quite a bit darker. So now I'm adding a new layer and I'll choose a different fern. I think I'll go with number 3 this time. And let's maybe go to this sage green color and then just change the saturation and the darkness a little bit. And I'm just still playing with the color, trying to get it right. Let's try that. Let's make it a bit bigger. And I'm pretty happy with that. I think I'll just add one more layer and then maybe go with a lighter color and add a couple more small ferns. Let's just make a new layer and put that underneath. I kind of wanted to have like a really light background color fern, and I'm using this number 5, and I just wanted to have it kind of coming up here as more of a backgroundy thing, not really showing that much on top. I think I'm gonna move this one underneath as well. So I'm okay, happy with that, and I'm just gonna swipe right on all the ferns. I'm not gonna bother naming each one. I'm just gonna group those together and name the whole group ferns. And in the meantime, let's just group these together as well and name that paper. So in between the paper and the ferns, I'll add a new layer, and this is going to be a layer for Paint and Splatter. So those ferns were coming from my greenery brush set, but let's go back to the mixed media brush set for this. So this is where we had the paper brushes, and there's also some artistic elements. So I like to add in my collages, I really like to add paint and splatter and that type of thing just to kind of bring everything together. I'm going to choose the dry gesso brush, and you could use any sort of painterly kind of brush for this. And I'm gonna go with some of these colors here and just kind of paint along the edges. So since we've already got that light green, let's just start with that and just kind of add, and this is like really big all the way up. I'm just gonna kind of like add a little bit of paint to the canvas in various places, a bit randomly. And let's go with some more colors. Let's go with this light blue as well, just to add some color here. I'm gonna go with the dark blue, and I'm gonna keep my pressure pretty light so that this doesn't overwhelm. Start to add a little bit more color here and just press a little bit more in some areas, being really random with my stroke pattern here. I'm just gonna make that a bit smaller so that I can add a bit more pressure without it being overwhelming. So, and let's choose another color. Let's go with that nice bright yellow. Increase the size a bit and add some yellow in here. I think that's adding something that was kind of missing as far as saturated colors go, giving us a bit more interest. And on the same token, let's go with some pink as well. This brush is very messy in that it just kind of picks up color and elements from everything around it, as long as it's in the same layer, and it just kind of spreads things around. Okay, now I'm going to do something a bit counterintuitive and go with white. So I double tapped over by my white. I know the background is already white, but I like to mix things together using white just to kind of drag things together and make it a bit more painterly. And this is giving us a bit more of a background on these plants as well. I'm kind of liking that. So I'm just giving a bit more white behind the plants. Let's go ahead and switch brushes and go with Sparse Splatter, again within the mixed media brush set. And I'm going to be really careful not to overdo this. I'm going to start with white and just kind of add some splatters. to make things a bit more interesting. We could also change to that dark blue and add very little bit of splatter there. And I'm focusing on the areas where I already have this dark blue, so it's not too crazy overwhelming. Like that. I think I'm okay, happy with that as a background. So now what I'd like to do is add the lettering. So all of this has been sort of a base for the lettering that I wanted to do. Let's go ahead and make a new layer on top of everything, and we'll write lettering as the name of that. So for the lettering itself, I'm just going to stay in the mixed media brush set and go to my fine liner brushes that are part of this brush set. So I've got one called Toothy Fine Liner. So that means it's got this tooth to it here. And that's the one I want to use for this. And I'm just thinking about whether I want it to stand out or not. And I think I do want to do some in the dark blue and some in the white. I'm just going to write. I'm just going to like turn off the voiceover and start writing. And you'll never know what I've written because it's going to be really messy, or maybe you can write in the comments what you think I've written. But the point of this is you can write whatever you want. You can express yourself and it will be visually interesting, but nobody will know what it says and it's personal. I'm going to make that real small as well. I'm just rotating the canvas so I can write around this plant. Okay, so I just wrote a little bit of journaling around that plant, and I'm maybe going to do a little bit of the same here, maybe on each of these. And then I might do some more in white. Okay. I wonder if any of you can guess what I've written, but the point here is just that this is messy. It's a big mess. I know what I've written. I feel like I'm journaling. I've got an interesting visual, aspect of this piece that wasn't there before that looks like scribbling, but it also looks like writing. But I do want to do the same thing in white. So I'm going to double tap on my white. I'm going to keep this same Toothy Fine Liner pen, and I'm just going to make another layer. And that's going to be lettering number 2. I'll just call this lettering number 1. And you could probably do this all in the same layer, but I'm just going to have them in separate layers in case I don't like it and then I want to turn it off again. So in white, this can be even more hidden. So here we've got a contrasting color in this handwriting that's contrasting with the background, but we can also write in white on an almost white background like this, and it's got another layer of hiding it, not just the messiness, but also the fact that it's just not very visible. I'm just going to actually make that brush size a bit bigger. I'm just looking for more almost white areas where I can write and it's almost completely hidden. Okay, I think I'm finished with this. I'm just having a look at the composition now, and I'm thinking I might want to add a few more splatters. So I'm just going to make one more layer on top of everything. I've got my white, and I'm going to go back to sparse splatter. So I'm thinking this is a bit empty here. I wasn't sure if I was going to write over all these areas, and I think I'm done writing now, so I just want to add a couple more splatters over in this area. So I think I'm good with that. And this is on top. The other splatter layer was below, so this is just, I'm just going to call it splatters on top. Good. And maybe a bit more here. And this is hopefully, you know, just kind of tying the composition together, because this leaf is kind of the point and the focus. But I wanted some bigger splatters around. Oh, that's a bit too much. Okay, I think I'm done with this. Really, I kind of just wanted to show you this concept of handwriting being a visual element. That's something in between journaling and scribbling. It has some kind of meaning. You know what you've written, but it's probably really hard for anybody to tell what's been written there. So there's a fun element of mystery to it. It's something very personal because it came from your mind and your hand, and it has the visual element of kind of almost graffiti to it. And everyone's handwriting is different. If you see me write something that's actually legible, it's going to look something like this. And your handwriting is probably totally different. Maybe you don't even do script. Maybe you do printing. Maybe you have really pretty handwriting. Maybe it's actually a stretch for you to write in a messy way. But I find that it's kind of freeing to write in a really messy way when often I'm trying to write in a way that's legible. And it can kind of just give you some creative flow that maybe you didn't have access to before. If you just try to write as messy as you possibly can and as illegible as you possibly can for this exercise. So anyway, I hope that this was helpful for you. I hope that you can come up with something fun, and I would really love to see what you come up with. You're very welcome to tag me on Instagram or share in the Facebook group. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.